Hi Aries, welcome to October. This is Teresa from Tarot by T. And I want to say, before I start your reading, I want to ring in the bells and ring in some good energy for this reading. Create some sacred space. And thank you also for liking and subscribing to my channel. And thank you for your comments. I read all of them and I appreciate your comments. So welcome to October and happy Halloween. This is the month of Halloween. And you have a full moon in your sign. And then a new moon in Libra at the end of the month on the 19th. The full moon in Aries will be on the 5th. And this will affect your partnerships. It's first house, so there could be some type of ending or culmination in partnerships, or in the way that you present yourself to the world, your personality. And then there could be a new beginning in partnerships with the new moon in Libra. And that could be business or personal. So there's a lot of exciting energy around the new moon, with Jupiter and Mercury and Uranus opposing it. So anything can happen at the end of this month. October is going to be an intense month with endings and new beginnings. So let's see what's going on with Aries. What does Aries need to know for the month of October about love or life in general? What are the important energies that Aries need to focus on for the month of October? You've been kind of getting beat up by Pluto in Capricorn, causing major transformations. Pluto is actually on this full moon, is T-squaring the opposition between the sun and the moon. So there's power struggles. How are you dealing with power? Power over others, power of others over you. So let's see what's coming up for Aries for the month of October. Three of Pentacles, the Strength card, the Death card, Page of Cups, the Temperance card, the Seven of Cups, the Five of Wands. I'm going to move these over. Four of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles, the Knight of Swords. Okay, so the Three of Pentacles, this is a card of success. The Three of Pentacles is typically the master craftsman. So if you're in a creative field, or even any field actually, this is a card of getting recognized for your talent and your skills, getting known for the work that you do. And it could represent promotion in a career situation, or it could represent success, a successful, because it's a three, the threes usually represent the birth of something. So in a relationship, it doesn't normally represent birth. Usually that's the Three of Cups, pregnancy and that kind of thing. But there's this sense of you've put energy out there, and now that energy is bearing fruit. So it could be you come to a successful point in a relationship where you're starting to see the results of your efforts or reward for your effort. So that could be business or personal. It could even be, so here you have the Strength card. So I feel like you've been really working on yourself and trying to tame the wild side. You know, because Aries has a very impulsive nature. You're always looking for that next adventure. And sometimes you don't have patience. And you can, sometimes blurt things out and then say, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Aries is very impatient and impulsive. You just want to get on with it. Let's go, let's move, let's do. So sometimes, you might be working on toning that down a little bit. toning down your volatile nature, your emotional nature, so that you don't go to extremes. Because Aries is a very passionate sign. You know, when you get something that you want to do, you don't waste time. You're on it. And you can be very passionate in your opinions and in your feelings when you're excited about something. So the Temperance card, or the Strength card, I mean, is about taming that wild side so that it works for you and not against you. It doesn't mean like put out your fire. What it means is it's kind of like a fire hose, okay? If you turn on the hose and you just let the hose, don't touch it, it's going to go flying all over the place and it's not going to put out any fire. So, but when you hold it and you control it, you can take that power and you could target it in a way that it becomes beneficial. It puts out the fire. So you have a lot of passion and you have a lot of energy, but you don't want it to be all over the place. You want to control it. You want to tame it so that it works for you. And that's what this card's about. It's about taming that wild energy so that you can direct it to a more positive channel through it, in a more positive way. So you could be dealing with that within yourself, which I'm kind of thinking that's the possibility. But you could also be trying to deal with that with someone else. So sometimes this can be having issues with anger, having issues with mood swings, emotional, trying not to be too emotional, not to go to extremes of behavior, extremes of emotion. And if you can control that, and if you can tame that side of you, not to, it's not a negative thing. It's just that we either control our nature or our behavior, or we let our emotions and our behavior control us. It's much more beneficial if we can control, if we can be in charge of ourselves rather than just being. It's kind of like the horses, running away with the chariot. It's much better if you've got the reins. So this is a card of using, knowing how to control the situation without going to extremes. Whether it's trying to control your own reaction or trying to control someone in your life that might be a little bit out of control. If you could do that, then you're promised the success of the Three of Pentacles, because this is a card that's in the blockage situation. So what's standing in the way of success, either in relationship or in career, would be this, how well you have the ability to control that inner nature, that wild, passionate side of you. The part of us that wants to just run wild and not follow the rules or break free of the norm, or you have to kind of work within a framework. You can't go to extremes. No, either extreme, having too much freedom or too little freedom is not good. You have to kind of find that middle ground, that balance. So another way that this card can represent a situation is learning how to get your needs met without going to extremes. Because sometimes people with this card, when you're dealing with strength issues, some people, when they want to get their needs met, they come on too strong. They demand, they become demanding, and they pound their fist, and they use anger and intimidation to get what they want. And that usually has negative consequences. So it's much more, you're much more likely to succeed if you use honey and softness, if you're tone it down a little bit, and you'll get people to do what you want better than if you try to beat them over the head with a hammer, So that's another meaning to this card, is to use that self-control, use that, try kindness, try to be a little kinder, softer, instead of trying to, bully your way through life or trying to get something done by force. So that's the lesson of this card, is to just, it's kind of like if you're dealing with this lion, that could eat you alive, you want to, give it some treats, make nice. It's like a pet, a dog, where you pet the dog and you say, okay, we're friends now, and then the dog will follow you, rather than just trying to force the animal, and then it winds up barking or biting. So it's a similar situation. It's knowing how to deal with people so that you're not alienating them, so that you're showing compassion, showing kindness. Some of the cards, this particular card has this woman holding the lion's mouth. In some cards, the woman is taking a nail out of the lion's paw. So it's like you're trying to help someone, and then once you make friends with the wild beast, then it becomes your ally. So there's a connotation of healing with this card also. That there's a part of you that needs to be healed. That maybe you need to tap into your feminine side. That maybe that part of you is being neglected. Maybe you've been too masculine, too, like raw, too lioness, too, being the masculine and roaring. I don't know if that's a word. You're kind of like letting out a roar and, raising your voice, being very masculine when you need to tap into the feminine side and be a little kinder, softer, nurturing. So that's the lesson of this card, and so that's what you need to tame or work with to achieve the success that you're looking for, to achieve the best results. There's also another card of balance coming up, the Temperance card, which I'll get to. So the Death card's in your past. The Death card is about transformation. So a part of you, the life that you were living is kind of on its way out. There's a part of you that's dying, so that and by the way, death does not mean physical death. It's real, so don't panic if you see death in a reading. A lot of people say, "Oh, death." What it means, it's not a literal thing. It really means that you're going through a change. There are parts of you that no longer make sense. There are parts of you, and you can't grow without change. You're going through a growth period where you're leaving certain things behind, certain types of way of life, maybe certain behaviors, and you're allowing, by clearing out what's no longer working, you're allowing the new to be born. You're making space for the new, for a new cycle or a new way of life. This card is more like winter turning to spring. So before, the spring flowers can bloom, you have to clear the landscape. You have to clear out all the dead leaves and clear out all the dead branches. You cut everything down so that you allow room for this new growth in the spring. And that's what this card is. So you're going through a transition, a period where one cycle is ending and you're preparing for this new cycle. So it could be in a relationship might be coming to an end of a cycle, either a relationship or career path. And so you're preparing for the next cycle, a rebirth in the spring. The Page of Cups. Now this is an interesting card because for some of you it could mean, sometimes pages represent children. If it doesn't represent children in your life, it could be a new romance. It could be the beginning stages of, so for some of you, you might have met someone and it's just, you're just starting out, getting to know each other, and you might be developing feelings for someone, and you may want to communicate those feelings because the Page of Cups is usually a message of love. Pages, when they don't represent children, represent messages. And the cups usually has to do with emotions. So there's something within you that wants to communicate your feelings to someone. It could also represent artistic ability, that you're dealing with someone who is very creative, could be a little bit younger, maybe a little immature, very sensitive. So you have to be careful how you deal with this person, because you might frighten them away if you come on too strong. So you have to kind of be gentle with them because they're so sensitive. And they feel everything and they react to things. So if you're interested in someone, you may need to use more kindness and compassion and nurturing, tap into that feminine side, rather than, being forceful. and, you know, coming on too strong. Because Aries has a tendency, when they are interested in someone, they get right to the point, like, hey, let's do this, come on. You know, they'll just go and ask someone out when they just met them, you know. They don't waste time going after what they want. So if you're dealing with someone who's very sensitive, you may need to take your time with them and be a little bit more patient, because they might just need to get used to, because especially if it's a water sign, because sometimes the cups can represent a water sign. Water signs, they don't like to rush into things. They like to, you know, they're very romantic. They're kind of shy. So you may have to just take things slow and be gentle with this person. The Temperance coming up here, it could mean that you're connecting with someone that you really get along well with. You have a good, there's a good compatibility. And again, the Temperance is about finding that balance, meeting someone halfway, not wanting everything your way, but also being willing to give to the other person, and considering another person's feelings. So it can't be always what you want. You know, Aries has a tendency to not consider. Sometimes you're so passionate about what you want to do that you forget that other people have needs as well. It's not that you're trying to be hateful or hurtful. It's just that sometimes Aries can just be so focused on their own goals that they have a tendency to not be aware of other people's feelings or goals too. So you're going to have to learn how to compromise in the month of October. Relationships, yes, especially with this full moon and new moon across your relationship axis, you're going to have to learn to find that balance, that sweet spot between your needs and the other person's needs. What you want and what the other person wants. And try to meet them halfway. The Seven of Cups. This is telling me that you have a couple of options coming up in October. So you might be, and I see there's a Queen of Pentacles here, Page of Cups. You could be just trying to decide between several options. So there could be, you know, maybe two people, or maybe even more. The Seven of Cups is someone who's stuck in the choices, who's really, you're not making a move because you're not really sure what you want. There are several options open to you, and you're considering them, but you haven't really made the decision to take that first step. Because once you decide, then acting is easy. But until you know what you want, you really can't. You know, where do you go? You don't know where you're going. So, and now you have the Five of Wands here, which is kind of an internal conflict. So you've been struggling with a decision for a while. This is a card of like indecisiveness. You know, like I could do this, I could do that, I could do the other thing, but what do I really want to do? So you need to take some time out and think, what do I really want? Do I want this option or do I want this option? Because you have this Page of Cups here and you have the Queen of Pentacles. So I feel like there's a relationship with someone that you know a long time, someone very stable, someone who's been there, maybe even maternal, someone who's been there for you. And then there's this new option, someone who's very young and naive and sensitive. And here's you trying to decide. And a part of you is feeling, here you have the Four of Cups, things are being offered to you, but you're not sure that you want them. You're not sure what you want. You're not willing to go out and accept what's being offered. You're feeling like I'm not happy with my current situation. I'm feeling bored. I'm feeling undervalued. But I don't know if I really want to change it either. So you could be in a relationship where you feel like, well, things could be better. I've been with this person a long time, and I'm getting kind of bored. And there could be temptation. Maybe that Page of Cups. There's someone around you, flirtatious, whatever, and you're considering, well, maybe I should check out my other options. You're considering it, but you're not taking action. So maybe you're deciding, what's best for me. Do I try and work things out with the person I'm with now? do I try to go with this other person? And so there's this conflict. I feel like there's this conflict here, this internal conflict. It could be also that you could be fighting with someone over petty stuff. Because the Five of Wands is a card of people not seeing eye to eye, not each person wanting to do their own thing, and not coming to some type of agreement of which way to go. So you feel like you're stagnating because you can't agree on it. You know, you want to do this, they want to do that, and you're fighting over little things. Nothing major. Because I think overall, for most of you, that the relationship you're in is a good one. It's just that you need to compromise. There needs to be some compromise and less drama. You know, with the Strength card, there's drama with the Strength card. There's somebody, you know, making a big scene, you know, being angry, threatening, you know, all kinds of stuff. With you know, you're letting the wild, the dark side come out. So you have to tame that dark side, tame that selfish side that wants everything your way. You know, we all have this dark side that we kind of let out to play every now and then. And so this is a card of, if you can tame that, you can connect with someone that you really have a lot of compatibility with. So this Queen of Pentacles can represent someone you're thinking about. This is in your wish fulfillment. And the Queen could be either male or female, depending on the court cards. The energy of the Queen of Pentacles is someone who's very earthy. So it could be an earth sign. Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. But even if it doesn't represent the sign, the Queen of Pentacles is someone who really loves her home. Loves to spend money on things, to surround herself with beauty, you know. It's not so much to impress. The Queen doesn't want to impress others. They just like the comforts of home. They work hard and they earn money and they just want to spend it. And create a beautiful environment so that they can entertain family and friends. She's the hostess with the mostest. She's always we're making sure everyone is comfortable and well fed, and so this could be someone in your life. That's someone who makes you feel safe and secure. Someone that you feel like you've known a long time. They're always there for you when you need them. And maybe you don't want to give that up. You're afraid to give that up because that's been your rock for so long. But there is this attraction. There's this other attraction here. So you're going to have to make a decision. And this card, the Knight of Swords, as the end, the final outcome, that's a card of someone who's very impulsive and jumps into things without thinking. And that's Aries energy right there. Because Aries is, sometimes you jump off a cliff and you don't think about what the consequences are going to be. You're just so primed for action. It's like, I just want to do something. I can't stand it anymore. And you're just going to jump out of that plane or jump off that cliff, because anything is better than stagnation, you know. Even if it's the wrong thing, I at least I'll be feeling like I'm alive, you know. So this is a card, it's kind of a warning of, be careful what you jump into. Look before you leap. Don't be so impulsive. You know, check things out first. Make sure this is what you really want before you jump off that cliff. Because sometimes you could be jumping, you know, especially with this full moon coming up in October, you know, you could be ending something that you may regret down the road. On the other hand, it could be that for some of you, that's what you need at this time in your life, that you need to make, you know, shake things up a little bit. And so that way, so, you know, the full moon could mean some type of culmination, some type of ending, especially since Pluto is involved. There could be some power struggles going on during this full moon. So you're going to have to find that balance if you want to get out of it. If you want to get out of it without doing any damage. Because Pluto can be intense. And when Pluto's involved, it means major change. Something that's been brewing a long time. You know, so you might have been feeling restless for a long time, but sweeping the feelings under the rug. And then when this, you know, when this tension gets to the point where you can't take it anymore, sometimes people just react impulsively and do something that they might regret later. So just to make sure you know what you want. That's all I'm saying. And then you have the new moon in Libra, which is also, you know, it's a sun and moon in Libra is also, and it's connected because it's the late degrees of Libra. It's opposing Uranus, who's in late degrees of Aries. And when Uranus is involved, anything can happen. You know, Uranus is the planet of freedom. It's the planet of, you know, so if you're feeling oppressed in any situation, if a relationship has gotten to the point where you need to do something because you're just bored to death, or you just need to make a change, you might do it at the new moon in Libra. Because there's a lot of impulsive energy with the Uranus aspect. Plus, Jupiter is connected to it. Jupiter and Mercury. Because even though Jupiter and Mercury are in Scorpio, they're at the very, very beginning of Scorpio. So it's what we call an out-of-sign conjunction. The signs are two separate signs, but the degrees are close enough so that you could consider it a conjunction. So even though the moon is in Libra and Jupiter and Mercury in Scorpio, they're really close together. They're only a few degrees apart. So Jupiter expands what it touches. So you're really going to feel like, I got to do this. And because it's in Scorpio, it's going to be an intense feeling. You know, it's like it's my soul desire. I got to do it. It's a life or death kind of thing. And so you may go over the top. It represents over the top energy. So you may decide, like, suddenly, I'm out of here, you know? And that's the energy of this Knight of Swords. And Mercury's connected. You might blurt something out, you know, like finally tell somebody what you think without any filter. So be careful how you communicate. Don't blurt something out that you're going to regret later. Choose your words carefully. There's just a lot of volatile energy with this new moon. It's exciting, and it could bring opportunity, sudden opportunity, because Uranus, sudden, Jupiter, opportunity. So you could meet someone new, or decide to pursue something new, a new beginning in some way at the end of the month. You know, you finish something up at the full moon, and then you embark on something new with high hopes at the new moon. But just the warning is, yes, new beginnings are great. I'm not trying to be a killjoy. But with these cards of balance, the caution is just make sure that you don't go to extremes of behavior, extremes of action. You know, find the middle ground, find the compromise point. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know. I mean, yeah, make some changes. Bring something new in your life. But don't destroy everything, you know, and then later say, oh my God, like I just blew up my whole life. So do things, you know, in moderation. That's all I'm saying. And you should be okay. You should find that October is an exciting time where you could, you know, and it doesn't have to mean a new relationship. It could mean a new beginning in an existing relationship. It could mean that you have a sudden breakthrough, sudden opportunity to go off in a new direction. Because Uranus always brings opportunity and sudden change, sudden things that you can't plan, that you have no clue. You know, with Uranus, it could go either way. You could be, you just don't know what Uranus is going to bring in, what's going to fly in when Uranus is involved. The only thing you do know is it's going to be something new, new beginning, opportunity for new beginning, to broaden your horizons, Jupiter, change your belief structure even. And it will be sudden, Uranus, and unexpected. So that in itself is exciting to Aries. It's kind of like a surprise package, you know, a gift that no one knows what's in there. You know, you'll wait and see at the end of the month what it winds up being. But it's going to be an exciting month for Aries, especially in relationships. And this could be not only just love relationships, but also business partnerships too. So you could wind up, for those of you who are not in a relationship, it could be a new beginning in career, a sudden opportunity that you're going to want to just jump into. So, but just consider all your options, because Jupiter can make you overly optimistic. That way you're thinking, I can't fail. This cannot fail. So just don't get caught up in that trap. Still check, you know, do all your checking, you know, make sure that you're not just following a